got some good matches coming up. We're gonna leave you guys at at bay. Get you guys to say yeehaw or what did he say? Yoo-hoo! I was like, what is this? Like wrong franchise, but yeah, we have some great matches coming up for you guys soon. Jaws, I'm really excited. Of course, we got a special occasion for our second series, but we have to get through this first one here, and it's going to be the LA Gladiators versus the Toronto Defiant. Watchpoint, they basically covered it for us. They talked about how the Gladiators, they're pretty consistent as a team. I mean, you and I talked about this too, but the Defiant, have a trick up their sleeve, and recently it seems as if they're getting their foot on the ground.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Aspire's come into the roster, formerly of American Tornado, who's on loan, current 30-day contract. This guy blew everybody out of the water. I don't think anybody was kind of expecting someone from Contenders to jump straight into a team that was already well established and then kind of take it to the big guns. You don't really expect that a lot of the time. And I think the Toronto Defiant kind of leaning quite heavily now on him, Vicky, honestly. It's going to be a tough upwards hill battle, I feel. I mean, the main superstar for Gladiators, and has been for quite a long time, Space, his diva play is going to have to be exceptional because Aspire's going to be in your backline 24/7 killing your supports.
He's always been that top quality off tank that you want to keep your eyes out for. But yeah, to kind of reach back towards Aspire and what we're going to be seeing from the Defiant, this is a player that I actually got to cast a little bit of during the last Contenders tournament where he actually won with American Tornado. But, he kind of took a step aside, and I saw him type in the chat like, yeah, I'm taking a quick break, by the way, from running Overwatch League scrims just to make sure that we win this, by the way.
Let's have a look at the Gladiator starters and who's playing today, to start off at least. Vicky, we've seen a little bit of an adaptation from the Gladiators in the DPS line, who they want to field in. It does look like we have Birdring and Mirror coming in first. And Mirror has always been a fantastic, I'd say, specialist on a lot of different heroes, Doomfist being one of them, but he's actually picked up a lot of the Torb recently as well, which might be a little bit more of a hindrance to the Toronto Defiant than they might think. The Torbjorn deals well with the Tracer a lot of that time. If you're on the flank of the Tracer, you get picked off by the turret, not picked off like killed, but if you just get chunked down, it stops you from really going in. Tracer, very small HP pool. That recall is exceptionally valuable when you want to go for these pulse bombs or just trying to pressure the backline. And if Mirror just sticks on this Torb, Aspire's going to have a little bit more of a tougher time.
And you have to also consider Birdring on the Sombra too. And as we get set up, why don't we take a look at Toronto now that we're talking a little bit about the Tracer. Taking a look at Aspire, who's been able to pop off on that Tracer. I believe he's been on Tracer like 66% so far within this stage. But yeah, Hisu is going to be joining him on that DPS lineup. Sado, Michelle, Ansunjae, and Lastro. This team recently finally getting some of that momentum going for themselves, because I feel like they had a rough start, and now I feel like a lot of people are taking their eyes and fixating it on this team right now. See, as we get started up on this lineup here. But yeah, no, this team is looking a lot better in comparison to what I had considered, honestly, before they had won their last two series.
I love how their cameras were like tinged with red, by the way. Looked quite, there you go, you can see it again, a little bit demonic. Maybe they're a little bit out for blood right now. And really, they should be. Custer's down on the desk already. Well, Toronto, what do they do if they win? Well, they go straight into the Summer Showdown. And the last time they actually made it to a tournament was actually in the June Joust. They actually got beaten out by sorry, that was the Gladiators who made it into June Joust. In May, in fact, is when the last time they actually managed to make it into a tournament. So they really want to bounce back and get in there again. They've been on an absolute tear recently. The maps, I think, are going to heavily dictate on how they play against the Gladiators, because like we said before, Aspire, fantastic Tracer player. Anywhere he can play that pick is going to be perfect, and it's up to the Gladiators to kind of match that, or even just straight up counter it, like I mentioned with Mirror on the Torb. Li Shang Tower will be the first map. It's got to be Mirror Doomfist here. It just has to be.
That's what I'm expecting here. I know on this map we're seeing a lot, or in general actually, we're seeing a lot of the Symmetra TP teleports, getting a little creative with those angles and those approaches. But yeah, when I take a look at this team here, we got Hisu that has been mostly running that Sombra, but then we have Aspire who not only could pop off on that Tracer, but pops off on that Doom too. Gladiators to replicate that. You were just talking about Mirror. Of course, we've seen his Echo pop off too. So a lot of options on the table for both these teams as we get set up. But Jaws, what are you anticipating? Other than the Doomfist maybe mirroring up against both these teams, are you anticipating anything different? Because it looks like we got the Symmetra out too.
Nothing crazy from what we've really seen. Mirror sticks on this Bastion, I'll love him forever, but I highly doubt that's going to be the case. Doomfist, no Torb. Torb's a little bit more difficult to play on this point. There aren't many crazy, annoying turret spots you can put it in to stop any flankers, and there aren't too many big flanks on control maps anyway. That's just the nature of the game mode. TP's out for both teams, though, and it looks like almost a complete mirror. In fact, it is a complete mirror, so it's all skill diff at this point. And getting the punches on the back line as well. There's a nice little backboard there for Aspire and Mirror to just punch each other into. Both immortality field's been used first, Vicky, as Mirror and Sato go down.
They have to deal with the immortality first, and because they were able to take care of that, Mirror is the first one to go down here, but being able to win in their favor, it's going to be the Gladiators that are going to send Defiant back to the spawn. A great start for the Gladiators, as that was a good statement to be made. Toronto Defiant, they're going to be able to regroup and get together here. Lastro's coming up on the Ant Matrix, and so is Shu, who already has it.
Oh, that was close. Model almost pooped people into the water down there. Oh, okay. Whoa. That was a fully charged sim right click there, and something, I'm not entirely sure what that was, a couple of Cheerios, I think, sent out from Unsunjay. Almost one-shot Moth, that would have been disastrous. He's so close to the beat, though, and they've got window to stave off the aggression as well.
Let's see what's the opportunity here. The teleporter's coming out. Here comes the two windows to face off. A window to your soul, but Aspire punches down Muse. He's out of this fight. That's the main tank out for the Gladiators, and look how much damage Space is taking. Mirror is popping off. Aspire trying to replicate that, but Mirror finding two here is going to get him a lot. Aspire now hearing me gets the uppercut, but the rest of Defiant are out of this fight. Jaws and the Gladiators, they maintain their lead on this point.
Yeah, the TPs as well are going to really help them get back into the fight rather quickly. A lot of ults online as well. The only issue really is Anjunjay is 10% away. You can imagine he's going to get beat. They're going to go White Rube once again, but assaulting this point is going to be rather difficult. Muse holding the Shatter just at the gates. It's going to be pretty easy for him to let it loose if Mirror can find a combo. There's the beat, engage, and the wall being used as well.
Honestly, yeah, because of that wall, actually, the sound barrier couldn't help out Defiant there. That was absolute game-changing. They can hold on to the photon barrier, but the Gladiators utilizing those ultimates without having to overextend there. They had the Shatter, they had the photon barrier, but they still are holding on to these ults that Defiant need to desperately try to take this point with.
Yeah, 25% to go as well as the Gladiators are nearing the victory on this first round. Here's you can use this big wall to engage. Although Mirror, it's pretty easy for the Gladiators. I mean, they just kind of run through it, or they just put up this window. Looks like a TP in though, Vicky.
Behind them, they swap spots! They swap spots! Oh, what is going on? Defiant! They nearly missed the Gladiators, and now the Ant Matrix is out. The photon barrier to help Defiant utilize that for some extra space. Mirror's found the first pick here, so it's not looking so great for Defiant. They also won't have Lastro and that immortality field. They won't have the Ant Matrix, and currently the Gladiators are on a tear. It's a good thing at the desk, Jaws, they were able to opt for this prediction because the Gladiators are trying to carry that momentum into taking the Toronto Defiant. Put a stop to their win streak. They take the first round 100-0.
That was a beautiful little switcheroo, completely flipping sides. But the big thing that opened the fight there for the Gladiators was actually that self-destruct from Space. He just launched it in. As soon as that teleport was taken, they knew they couldn't really take it back. Otherwise, they'd lose all that positioning that the Toronto Defiant actually gained on the point. So what happens? Self-destruct goes in, the L will have to cram around the point. They even used the wall as well to separate, but by that time, Mirror was already up in the air. They'd used the Toronto Defiant had used Immortality Field as well. Mirror tried to go for a cheeky uppercut to try and get people killed by the self-destruct, but it didn't end up working out. Space separating everybody the self-destruct there was the perfect play that the Gladiators needed to seal that round.
It honestly just seemed like the Gladiators just had answers for every single approach option that Toronto Defiant was trying to initiate with, specifically on Sujay's sound barrier. But now going on, it's another round here. Here comes the Doofins flying in, and Mirror's found the first pick again, this time on Aspire. Already winning this trade. Sato's found Muse, but it doesn't matter. Defiant are going to already have to reset here, but the Gladiators are trying to overextend as much as they can to get some of these ultimates. A team wipe. Mirror, we see you. We see you, Mirror, being able to pop off right now.
Ooh. There's a lot of weird diags you can actually get on this map in that small corridor by that mega pack. You can actually diag straight onto the point to try and punch someone into the wall. There's a lot of cheeky angles Mirror could kind of go for. Aspire's going to be the main point of the Toronto Defiant. He's really just a defensive tool a lot of the time. Beautiful punch away actually from the teleporter. Uh-oh, he's in trouble.
Oh, the snipe with the immortality field. It saves Sato. He was so close to dying right there. Mirror is diving in, and he got the meteor strike to reset. He's found on Sujay. That's huge here. That's both supports out, and the rest of Defiant can't deal with Mirror. This is such a big deal because meanwhile, you have Bergring doing so much damage on the point with these turrets.
absolutely disgusting. They trying to Defiant, try and like out-rotate the Gladiators by TPing Sado in, then trying to follow up, but Mira just punches him away from the TP, so Sado can't zip back to the rest of his team. He was isolated, Lastro had to use the Immortality Field, and that was history, really. Now Gladiators using the window to push Toronto Defiant back even more.
Oh no.
50% on the board already. Mira goes for an aggressive push, but massive shatter!
Oh, they were so fixated on Mira trying to go in for the flank. The shatter now landing through the Defiant, trying to go back to the spawn for some safety. The sound barrier, the Gladiators are trying to send it forward. They're getting so aggressive. I mean, was it worth it? They utilized the sound barrier, they utilized the shatter, they had the photon barrier, but now the Defiant have a clear path to the point.
Muse touched the spawn challenge. He's still in the spawn of the Toronto Defiant, by the way. There you go, you can see him coming through server room now. Mira's still on the flank. Moth going down's pretty bad, though, because they can't speed back to the point now, and Muse is going to be left high and dry. Looks like the Toronto Defiant are going to cap, and Gladiators going for a reset. They should be able to come back in here fairly quickly, though. Shu opening up, using a lot of that space with the window is going to be the aim of the game. But the Defiant have got so many ults online. They can even use that beat super aggressively here to try and win this next fight. Mira's still on the flank. If he can find a punch onto a DPS or a support, this could be game over for the defense here of the Toronto Defiant, but it's going to be a hard ask. The only beneficial factor for him right now is I don't think the Toronto Defiant actually know where he is.
I think actually Aspire may have seen him because he took a little bit of damage there. And yeah, now here comes Mira though, trying to come in from the flank of the Defiant. The photon barrier from Hisu. They're trying to rotate through these ultimates smartly here because now the sound barrier is coming in and the Gladiators don't really have much to work with. Muse has already gone down and Moth is going to meet him back. Michelle finding two with the Diva Bomb. Sato's holding on to this shatter and this is going to be necessary on trying to stall out the Gladiators because they have that 75% extra credit in comparison to the Defiant. So, you know, maybe thinking here a little bit, Jaws, maybe the Gladiators shouldn't utilize all those tools that they had in Defiant spawn.
Yeah, Defiant, I mean, they don't have a lot of ults available now, but they still have that shadow online. Aspire is going to be such an aid to the Defiant right now because on the defense, the Junkrat is so frustrating to deal with. He should be able to get Riptire rather quickly. A nice little high ground advance here from the Gladiators. They send Mira in, but look, already he's just getting checked by two people.
He came in from the heavens and thought he had a plan and then got shut down. I mean, he got Space, but then Space got him right back after he got out of the stun from the shatter. Meanwhile, Mirror trying to pressure out Aspire, who has that Riptire. Lastro trades that by finding Mirror in the two with the Rip. Yeah, Jaws, Shu and Birding going down is huge because now the Gladiators, despite them having 85%, the Defiant are going to be tripling in.
Beautiful Riptire from Aspire. They knew it was winnable as soon as Lastro got that kill. If you have your main healer alive in that situation, you can kind of jostle the point. You know you've got a crazy powerful ult in that Riptire, and there's not really much to kill it. Sado has to, or Muse even has to line out for a beautiful fire strike to try and take it out, but it's not going to be successful at all if it's just whipping around in the air. 95%. Mira's going to go in again as he jumps straight on the supports. Lastro's already dead.
And he starts that engagement with the sound barrier too. That's going to enable Mirror, and now with overtime taking away the Defiant, they take control, but not for long with the Gladiators flipping it immediately. A great way for the Gladiators to make this push, and they have some ultimates too to work with, Josh. It's going to be difficult for the Defiant. Michelle forced to reset with the Diva Mech. It's overtime ticking away, and the sound barrier only on Ansu J and Aspire. He's just trying to go in with the photon barrier, but Mirror is forced to reposition. He's got the health pack, but they're not finding these picks as quickly as they need. Aspire has finally found Shu. That means the Immortality Field won't be a threat. But look at this. Hisu doing so much damage. Somebody needs to stop the Symmetra. That's when it's mostly lethal, when this fight is going on for way too long.
Yeah, OT's going to tick down any moment as well. Defiant are going to find the cap on the point. Lastro kills off Moth, and there we go. Defiant taking a round off of the Gladiators. That was a fantastic beat, by the way, from Hansen J. Hit 3 people. Aspire was coming back from the spawn, so the beat didn't really affect him too much. But actually hitting the Diva in that situation, when she's in a pilot form, a baby Diva form, keeps her alive for so long, able to remech and then just carry on the fight as Sado rolls in as well. Mira and Doomfist as a character, as a hero, is kind of frustrating to play against. Everybody, I'm sure, already knows that. You get punched in the floor, feels pretty bad when you get one shot by a Doom. But it's so reliant on cooldowns for obvious reasons. But as soon as Mira uses 1 or 2, the Defiant know that they have quite a nice breadth of gap there to kind of move forward and try and punish the rest of the Gladiators, or even punish Mira. Doomfist is basically useless without his abilities. And as soon as Mira tries to go in and fails this engagement, the Defiant capitalize on it over and over again. Looks like they're going to try Mira once more, though, with Aspire on the Doomfist as well.
And TPing, getting a lot closer to the point first. Mirror, though, needs to be contested. He gets duffed, though. It's Aspire who wins that trade. He was taking some pressure. He tried to reposition, but with Aspire allowing the Defiant to move on to this point, the Gladiators may actually take this a lot more patiently. They're using the teleporters, though, and they're repositioning right away the moment they get into that situation. Space takes a lot of damage. He's already been demexed, but with Shu having the Ant Matrix, that was the green light for the Gladiators to not give up just yet. Michelle gets a quick 2K, but he gets pinned by Muse, who's about to have the Shatter, by the way, and if he lives through his Immortality Field, he could get it.
What a lamp. That actually saved. Ever so narrowly, Muse was going to go down. The lamp actually saved him. A nice connection there from Mirror to stop Sado Charge actually connecting. Ansu-J uses the beat to try and go back in.
Oh, Muse comes right back in. He not only finds his fire, but he lets it rip with the Shatter. The sound barrier from Ansun-J, but Defiant now won't be.
That's a lot of damage.
They're finding these things. Sado finding 3 right now. Being able to help with that sustainability from the Defiant looked really good, but when you have the Gladiators, specifically Mirror, pressuring your supports, it's difficult. They reclaimed the point, but look how long that fight went on for, Jaws. The point had not even been turned in any favor for any of these teams.
Yeah, it was actually ridiculous. No one going down for that long. It's absurd. I mean, look at the ults people have built up as well. Gladiators can use the wall fairly early. He's already used his, so the Gladiators can split point in half if they really want to. It's going to stop a lot of that damage coming through from the Self-Destruct, the Shatter as well. 2 people laid on their back, but a perfect counter beat there from Gladiators.
That was going to be Muse in space. Yeah, Moth, though, with the Sound Barrier. He gets called out by the Diva Bomb, though. The Gladiators have the Immortality Field, but with losing Bird Ring, Aspire is going to be on a tear. Actually gets shut down by Space, but now the Diva Bomb coming in, he wasn't a tier, pressuring those backlines, and Michelle was right there to help heal. Keep the rest of Toronto Defiant in this fight here. Hisu's gonna get that follow-up onto Muse, dealing so much damage. Look how big Hisu's beam is, by the way. So now they have to consider the fact that these turrets are already gonna be set up on the point too when they wanna get back in.
Yeah, nice little double reset there from the Divas to get back into mech ASAP. That was super nice. Yeah, keep the sim alive, and like you mentioned before, on Control Center, the longer the sim is alive, hey, guess what? You do more damage. That beam just shreds through shields and refunds ammo as well. Like, Sim is a crazy hero, by the way. Pretty good at destroying shields. Gladiators are going to be able to come back in again. With only a Shatter to their name, though, Hisu's just going to use this wall fairly early, I can imagine. There it is. The Shatter's still going to hit Sado, though.
Yeah, but he gets saved by the Immortality Field. Another insane Immortality Field from Lastro, and Ansun-J's Sound Barrier is going to keep them in that fight. Now Sado's got the Shatter. He may not even have to use it because they're burning through the Gladiators. They're able to take control on this point, and the Gladiators are kind of trickling in. They're trying to figure out what to do differently here, Jaws. Shu's about to have the Ant Matrix at least going into this next fight.
Yeah, the Ant Matrix is a little bit tougher to use here, though, as well. There's only 2 main doors. Yeah, you could shoot everybody on point, but with the Lucio, you can more or less speed through it, especially when you have a Doomfist, too. Just punch straight through the window if you're brave enough. Maybe get Matrixed on the way there as well. Just like they're going for a teleport play, though. There's the window, and look, everybody just leaves.
Oh, was that? It actually seemed like a bait almost, where they put the teleporter right in front of the Gladiators, and then they opted to actually just back off the moment those ults were called. Here comes Aspire though with the Meteor Strike 2. It's going to be a double Meteor Strike reset. The Shadow we already saw used by Sado, and he's found Shu too with the pin. So the Defiant, despite finding these picks, they're losing heads way quicker than the Gladiators because Birdring has already gotten set up. That teleporter had allowed those turrets to get set right through, and they're repositioning. They have to deal with Ansu-J though, who's been quite a pesky pest to deal with, and Birdring's turret does the job for them.
That was a really nice clutch by Mirror. He actually isolated Lastro. Ansun-J, yeah, was up in the skybox just trying to stall for some extra time. But if you push Lastro anywhere out from the fight, well, Defiant don't have healing. There's no way they're going to be able to survive against the onslaught of damage that Birdring, Muse, and Space are doing. Very aggressive beat Engajo from the Glads. They know if they win this next fight, Vicky, the Defiant are going to have to touch almost in OT.
But because Defiant's teleporter setup didn't work out like they did before, yeah, they're just going to be a reset from the Defiant. Yeah, that situation, they tried to go for a teleporter reset there. But the Defiant, unfortunately, got shut down by the Gladiators there at the very end. They were just able to isolate them before they went through the portal.
That sucks for Michelle, actually, there, because Mirror actually got a lot of that HP transferred into ult charge. Another quick TP up. Oh my god, they're still going!
Oh, in the routine,
big beat.
Funneled in for the Shatter. It's a sandwich, and talk about big Diva Bomb. Instead, finding 4 Space absolutely on fire, focusing down to on a lot of these isolated heads of the Toronto Defiant. Overtime ticking away, but these Symmetra turrets, not only are they going to be dealing so much damage, but now the Gladiators have control over this space. You see Sato just trying to desperately force his way into this choke point. Aspire's found burgering, but the rest of Defiant are nowhere to be found. The Gladiators now take control over map number 1, and they're going to be up in the series 1-0.
That was insane. TP rotation. As soon as they heard them on the high ground, they're like, we can fight this. Space just gets up there, presses Q, and what else can you really do? The Defiant had a very nice beat engage there after the shatter as well, but that was an unbelievable self-destruct. Space just walked in the room. The Immortality field was already out because they were so scared of Sato just swinging through them and swinging through that photon barrier as well. Wow, what an unbelievable positional play there from the Gladiators. They take the first map 2-1. This is going to be a close series, I feel. The Defiant aren't looking too hot, but that's actually ended their 5-map win streak as well now, Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, even though it went down to the wire for that last round, round 3, of course, for that first map, I was honestly going into the series thinking, all right, the Gladiators, they are way more consistent. Toronto Defiant, this is a team that has recently started looking a lot better. I feel like they finally are feeling that confidence with the rest of the team. And now, going into the rest of the series, it's very possible. Even though Gladiators are currently up 1-0, we currently just saw a super close first map. We're going to be moving on to a map number 2, though. On the other side of this break, everybody, don't go anywhere. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. And before we get started, why don't we take a look at our player resume presented by Indeed. It's going to be Sato, our funny Coca-Cola meme that I always use whenever I'm in a group chat. But yeah, no, looking at Sato's stats here, he's looking to return to the Summer Showdown Finals just like he did last year with Paris, Jaws.
Yeah, it was against Paris Eternal. You might remember that game as the EQO versus Sparkle Genji Blade. One of the best highlights I think Overwatch League has seen, at least up there, like top 5, 100%. That was a crazy, crazy series. They actually ended up losing that out as well, unfortunately. Yeah, Sato's going to have to drink a big 2-liter before he does come back into this series. And I want to point out something a little bit here. If you haven't noticed already, look at Toronto Defiant. Look at their tank lineup. It's Sato, but it's also, hey, Aztec. So, interesting. We're seeing a support player sub in. To be fair, we've seen this a lot. Vicky, we've seen Mira on all 3 roles. Like we've seen this kind of stuff in the past. But Aztec coming in as a tank to support Sato now as Michelle takes a back seat. This is something new. I was quickly scrolling through his Wikipedia and just like trying to find any kind kind of mention that he
hinting towards like what this makes sense
on,
with. Yeah,
O2 Blast on like Team Griffin, like any of those Game Home Monsters as well, like just some team, because we've seen a lot of support players play tank in the past. Alarm, more famously, did play the Reinhardt way back when in Apex. We've seen a lot of like flex support players play Widowmaker way back in the day. They used to flex onto that when roll-up wasn't a thing. So, yeah, I mean, maybe they got something spicy up their sleeve, Vicky. I'm excited to see. Obviously, they're down a map in the series already now, so this momentum shift maybe is what they're looking for.
And this is what they need if they want to go into the knockouts too. They need to win if they want to go immediately to the Summer Showdown knockouts. They don't want to waste any time here, guys. And as we get set up with some tricks up their sleeve, yeah, I honestly, we were all confused here looking at some of these subs coming in. Even looking at our analyst guy saying, I don't know what's going on here, basically.
Yeah, Matt is also scratching his head. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not alone here. I'm pretty sure other people at home are wondering what's going on here. But I'm curious to see how this is going to play out, too, especially since it seems like we're getting the double bubble. When I saw Skewed coming in, almost expecting the Brigitte, but it looks like he maybe we'll see some swaps, but it looks like they may be running the Zen. We'll see soon as we get set up here. But yeah, the Defiant starting on the defense here. Despite that first map going in favor of the Gladiators, they still put up a really good fight.
Yeah, Gladiators, I want to touch on the subs again real quick, Vicky. Gladiators do normally win with Birdring in, like, more or less than the time, just impermanently. So seeing Kevster and Mira on the same lineup, also pretty cool. So Gladiators now showing a completely different look to themselves as well. Skewed coming in, no surprise, he's playing Brig. Skewed is a ridiculously good Brig player, up there with people like Huxal as well. You got to remember, back in GOATS, Huxal was considered one of the best Brig players in the world. Skewed is definitely up there too. It's a very different style of Brig though. Brig's been changed ever since then, and a little bit more slow-paced now without GOATS. Oh, Hisu. That's unlucky. Sato's dead as well. Kevster just runs him over. That might just be first point, Vicky, to be honest with you. Lastro's dead also. Oh, deary me. That was an aggressive dive there from Kevster and Mira. And we got a small P there from Hisu, so maybe something went wrong. He's just like, wait, I swear, Mira can't chase me up there, surely not. How'd he get up there with me? That's weird. I translocated away.
I don't know. I don't think that was unlucky. I think Mirror just was able to like focus down. He knew exactly where he was gonna go. Like he saw it. He just chased him for it. And I was like, ooh, no, that's not how you want to start things off with. Even better when you have the focusing beam and you were able to note right there that he was already low. So like, why not just dive in on Hisu at that point before he could get back to the health pack? But yeah, that's what we just saw go down with Mirror. We also just saw Defiant get rolled on this first point, and we have a quick pause. So maybe that's part of the reason why. But as they're trying to figure things out here for both these teams, the Gladiators are already starting off map number 2 really strongly. I mean, I'm wondering here, Jaws. Again, my pick'ems for APAC are always on fire. Like, I just may as well just... I don't know. I feel like I always get, like, an expired doc of the script here, but... I don't know. I think it's on purpose.
Yeah,
I think I'm just...
no
one wants me to get a cool statue.
It's probably custom. Let's be real with ourselves here.
Oh, he's been knocking on your door. He's like, what you say? What you say to me?
That was really funny in chat, actually. He was like, sorry, can we reset, please? They were like, no, we can't. And Mira was like, no, actually, forget about that. We're not resetting now. Yeah, that was really interesting because Hisu looked like he didn't even have his Translocator in a super safe position either. So yeah, Mira just kind of chased him down and killed him. Already opened it all up. 5 minutes, well, almost 6 minutes for this second point push. What a great start for Toronto Defiant, who've subbed Aztec in on the Zarya. He's getting pushed all the way back. Kev's got Pulse Bomb online, Vicky. Looks like he wants to get the back line.
Nasty Kevster getting that stick with the Pulse Bomb, dealing so much damage, and the rest of the Gladiators are diving in, talking about Mirror and Kevster. This DPS synergy that we're seeing shine through while Mirror tears up everybody from the Defiant from the high ground. Meanwhile, yeah, Kevster just speed running their way through. Look at this time bank, Joss. 5 minutes, 33 seconds. What was that? I feel like the Defiant didn't... Oh, that was the fastest ever take on Anubis for Gladiators attack. That was the fast. This is record breaking. They literally just held forward, and the Defiant just let them take both of those points for free. Why doesn't this ever happen in my ranked games?
Thank you, production, for that. That is, Vicky, that's insane. Fastest ever take of Anubis. By Gladiators. Nice little record breaking. Vicky, the devs spoke about it, and we spoke about it a little bit as well. The Gladiators, they're in a bit of a danger zone at this point. They're only 1-on-1. They've got a 0 map differential as well, Vicky. Well, they got 1 point. They need to do something, and this is the something that they needed to do. They need to clinch a win here, Vicky, to stand a chance of going to the Summer Showdown. The Toronto Defiant, on the other hand, need this win to guarantee themselves a place. The Gladiators are trying to stay alive. Nice little double kill there from Mira using the focusing beam, picking up both supports. What a ridiculous way to start this map, Vicky. A record-breaking finish. And the Defiant, how would you feel in this situation, Vicky? I'd feel a little bit battered and bruised.
I'm laughing because there is no familiar feeling that I get than feeling like a Spire at the very end right there, because I was a one-trick tracer for the longest time, and it's popping out, getting a sticky on the Brigitte, feeling yourself like, all right, no rally to worry about, let's go, guys. You turn around, there's nobody left behind you. Your entire team.
You're like, oh, where's my team?
What?
Sorry, who?
Wait a minute.
They finished it with how much time left in the bank, sorry? Okay.
Oh, no.
We go again.
Anyways,
Defiant though from Hisu there. Good start for the Toronto Defiant. Not sure they're going to be able to match the time bank, but they're doing a good job so far. Space goes down as well, Vicky.
Yeah, this is looking a lot better for them. I was going to say here, still opting to run like this double bubble composition here has now allowed Aztec to gain a lot of that charge. Gets snuffed, but you have Mirror right there to back you up right there. Ansunjae goes down, but Aztec is going to be able to get Mirror in the process. It's a good trade, but Kevster holding this high ground. The only one that could try to contest him up there is actually Sato, and he's taking a lot of that damage. So you have to be careful here, but I think the Defiant, they have to be wary because the Gladiators are going to be trickling in soon, and here they come. The Nano Boost, though, coming in from the Defiant to maintain this lead, but Shu has one too, and it's going to be put onto Muse. He's taking a nap, but he just got woken up. Meanwhile, Sato is going ape crazy. Call it ape atoll, call it monkey madness, I'm not too sure here. Spire getting that stick on the post bomb onto Skewed. He's out of this fight. Defiant are still holding their ground really well. Despite losing last row right there, you still have Ansunjae to help you. Gladiators, they've lost Shu. Skew's gonna have the rally, but this is a great start for the Defiant to at least get some momentum in their favor.
Yeah, not about to. There's no way you lose the Baby D.Va. Oh my god, he lost the Baby D.Va.
No,
Spire.
no,
They're going to be able to retouch. Space has mech soon.
He's
One
gonna
more
get
bullet will
mech.
do it. He's 2 HP. Oh, he couldn't get him. He was afraid there if he hit the remech key because your animation is idle or like you're standing still, it would have been a very easy kill. So strafing there, waiting for Skew to get back. I think that was the game plan from him. Skew used rally as well, but at least they managed to hold on, Vicky. They're going to get another attempt at this.
Wondering why he didn't just rotate behind the wall right there, but at least he could get right back in with the Gladiators being able to contest. Defiant, they were so close, but they've only gotten 2 ticks, Jaws. Hunting Jay has the rally that he's using right now, but the Defiant can't really find an opening. They want to get a first pick, but it's them who are being picked off first. Big ante onto Asik and Ansun Jay.
Big
Lasso's
EMP.
out. EMP finding 3. Mirror is going to be able to get Ansun Jay, though, and a huge pulse bomb onto Aspire, getting a 3K. Aspire holding it down on the front lines for the Defiant. There's only so much Aspire could do, though. There's only so much.
Yeah, Bob was out as well, so they couldn't even get that point. Aspire lived with 5 HP as he was on fire. Skewed is protecting Shu with his life. This guy is just holding shield in front of him, making sure Shu stays alive. Space is going to be able to come back with self-destruct. It's a great start for the Defiant, for the Gladiators defense.
The Nano boost now. Sato
Great
has that
start.
primal
We're
for a
halfway
quick
through the
reset, but everybody's followed into the side here, and Defiant has found 2 already. Great look. The Gladiators have no support, and the rest of Defiant can finally take this first point. Although here, Jaws, look at this. Look at their time bank in comparison to the speed run that we literally just saw from the Gladiators.
Yeah, 533 versus 350. All right, okay. Well, at least they capped, right? I mean, there's definitely an upside there. You got about 4 minutes, just less. Maybe we'll call it 3:30 by the time you actually get in position, and then they can go for an engage. Defiant might want to take this a little bit more slowly here, Vicky, because Hisu can just build up towards the CMP, and then they can rally engage as well. Just an unstoppable train of damage. Looks like a nano boost onto Muse, though. Gets spooked back. Bio grenade on the back line of Defiant to keep them healthy. And they actually pop the rally as well, trying to punish Muse in the front line.
Although Muse did have that jump, though, so he was able to get onto the high ground. He has the rest of the Gladiators to back him up, and they also have the rally, too. Big ante, but Aspire landing that pulse bomb so accurate with these pulse bombs. I want to see the accuracy on this, because he's been absolutely on fire. Even though we saw the Gladiators steamroll them, Aspire has been so consistent on this Tracer.
Muse is dead as well. He actually gets killed in spawn. Now they're going to be able to secure 2 ticks. Good enough for the Gladiators, though. They want to be able to regroup as at least 5 to get the touch back. There you go. Space comes in, but they're walking straight into an EMP. It hits 2. Skewed and Shu need to die right now.
And Skewed is even ante too, and Skewed still doesn't get focused down. Both supports are still alive for the Gladiators for right now, but here comes the grab from Aztec. They need to try to get something done, but Aspire finding 2, another headshot compilation of Aspire. You can just make a combo video with Aspire, just being able to pop off Sato 2 to back off them up. Defiant, they're trying, despite being able to see that time bank, they're not deflated here, Jaws. They take the round despite only 2 minutes on their time bank, and Aspire has to have so much momentum after coming out of that round.
I want to see the kill participation, Vicky. Honestly, Aspire must be nearing like 80+%. This guy is a part of almost every single kill, if not just getting kills on his own. His pulse bombs, just solo kills onto the Briggs, just forcing Muse all the way back to spawn and picking him off before he reaches the invulnerability wall. Like, this guy's an absolute nutcase on the Tracer. Oh, here's the pulse bomb onto the grab. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
You know what? I'm actually thinking here, Jaws, that with Aspire being able to get so much off of this Tracer, that bringing Aztec in, I'm questioning here if it's because Aztec's popped off in the Zarya. They've run this composition before, and being able to get that follow from the grab and the pulse bomb, being able to allow Aspire to be even more consistent, just helps enable the rest of Toronto Defiant.
Look at the leaderboard now, an updated one presented by Xfinity, of course. Gladiators versus Toronto 2021,
Ooh.
5 minutes and 33 seconds in the time bank. And look at the number 1 ranked, or now number 2 ranked time as well. Uprising versus Dallas in 2018. It hasn't been beaten in 3 years, but someone's finally done it. That is going to be, like, look at it as a speed run, right? Like you said before. Imagine getting that. Now, like, imagine trying to beat that. It feels almost mathematically impossible.
Actually insane, looking at this team. And I knew that this team was super consistent, but consistency doesn't mean that they're in a rush for anything. I mean, wait around for a bit. Gotta drink some water here before I make this jog. Spire is already getting into position. I love this new look from the Toronto Defiant, just incorporating the Spire. Sado's anti, he's taking so much damage, they don't let him get away, and he's the first pick going down from the Toronto Defiant.
Yeah, Toronto Defiant have to use their time extremely wisely here. They're doing a good job, like, poking people out. They actually demech space. Sado's going to be able to come back quite quickly, and they're going to have to go right now. They cannot let space get back into mech at all. Otherwise, it could be we're talking OT situation as well. Look, he's desperately right now trying to build up towards the suit, but he's not having too much luck. And luckily, it does charge passively quite quickly, and he is chunking a couple of people out, but already Sado's managed to take away high ground. Space 5% away. They need to make his engagement.
Oh, he gets the mech though, and he gets to retreat to that side room so he can get back into the mech safely. Toronto Defiant here with the nano boost. They're gonna match out with the Gladiators having Shu and nano boosting Muse, but he's gone to sleep and Mirror's gone out of this fight. Aztec finding him here. Now being able to have so much charge deal, so much damage. It's gonna be so much space for the Defiant too. They're gonna be able to hold here on this point, get right into it. They want to try to take it as quickly as possible because Jaws, they're running out of time with less than 30 seconds.
Yeah, they killed space to get the space. They have the EMP at their disposal as well. Gladiators, I think for them, the game plan right now is just to build ults for second. They know their Defiant are only going to have just over 30 seconds to actually engage. No. Okay, Muse jumps back in, tries to steal positional time, but he's going to get quick respawns here. And just build ults for this last point. They got to remember their time bank in the back of their head. They have 5 minutes and 10 seconds, Vicky. 5 minutes and 10 seconds. If they could just hold at this second point, there's a very, very clear win condition. EMP and Rally's going off now for the Toronto Defiant.
Oh, big anti though onto both the actually 4. Spire did get hit by that, but maybe use
huge grab.
Here comes the grab here. This is the opportunity. Toronto Defiant now holding back the Gladiators, making them reposition here. Mirror is asleep on the point, but they got to deal with them eventually if they want to get any progress on this point, because he's still contesting, and because he's in that duplicate, he's going to be hefty to deal with. The Gladiators lost space too, and the overtime is ticking away. The Gladiators have some tools to work with now with this Rally Shoes coming up with this nano boost, but the Toronto Defiant, they have the EMP. They have to deal with Kisu. They also have to deal with Aspire with these pulse bombs, consistently finding picks with them. Toronto Defiant are looking so great now that they've been able to spread the Gladiators thin. It was looking grim here, but Jaws, now there's nobody left for the Gladiators to contest on this point.
All right, sick. Mirror's coming back in on the Doom. He's not going to survive long, but still manages to take Sado with him. There's only about 20% to go for the Defiant in order to cap. And they're still managing to stall. Muse dies. That should be it. Yeah. There we go. Defiant. They're going to cap second point. 0 seconds left in the time bank, but it's still a victory for them is in sight, at least. And now I'll have to deal with the ridiculous time bank of the Gladiators. And I want to mention a small little play that the Toronto Defiant did there at the very end, Vicky, or near to the very end, was they slipped Mirror when he was in duplicate, and they didn't touch him at all. They know the Winston's going to get ultimate, or the duped Winston's going to get ultimate basically instantly, especially if you're testing 5 people on the point. So they left him sleeping for a long time there in order to burn down a lot of that duplication time and then deal with everybody else. They don't wake him up, and as soon as he does, he can't get the Primal Rage because he doesn't have a lot of that duplication time left. And then Aspire can just chase him down when he's in the Echo form. That was super nice. Super small, but very, very good from the Toronto Defiant. Enabled them to capture and stop the Gladiators stalling for even more time.
And I like that too from the Gladiators, because at one point earlier on we had seen, rather the Defiant, because we had seen from the Defiant that they had put Muse to sleep at one point, and they had woken him up accidentally. He was in the line of fire, it looked like, when the Gladiators were on the attack. But at the very end there, where it really mattered, yeah, that was important here. They needed to make sure that Mirror wasn't a threat. And you even saw the Gladiators making those quick, desperate swaps to the ball to at least stay contending the point. The Toronto Defiant, they didn't need all that time bank to be able to take both those points. So now the Gladiators, they need to replicate that with having a lot more of an advantage with that time.
Okay, now the Gladiators make use of their giant time bank. I do like Defiant though, running the Sombra, something I haven't really touched on specifically, but it does mean the Gladiators have to play a little slightly more scared, as Hisu can just hack one of the tanks and then they can rush them down. Because there's no speed boost on this side, so you can't like outspeed them to disengage or anything. So the hacks are going to be very valuable. Nice dive in by Muse, though. Look at the space he's created. Mirror's actually on the high ground behind the Toronto Defiant.
And that's what happens when you get sandwiched like that. Despite that, though, Muse is the first one to go down here. They're going to trade that for Aztec. but the spawn advantage is in favor here of the LA Gladiators. Sorry, the Toronto Defiant here. Gladiators, sorry. But yeah, no. Spire goes down. Sorry, I'm looking right now at Mirror, and the way that no one's contesting him is outstanding. Now he's terrorizing the back line, and they finally put him to sleep. It's Lastro who deals with them. They dive in on him. They don't let him get away because Mirror was absolutely just getting away with murder, pressuring those back lines, and that's what happens when you have Sombra, when you have Tracer. Sato could try to get onto those high grounds. He gets antied, and now the Primal's being popped, and they have to try to get on the point. The Gladiators haven't even been able to take the second point, but they're still trying to spread the Defiant thin by wearing them out in these back lines.
Oh, yeah, okay, there you go, finally. Make it work. That was a really nice follow-up by the Gladiators there, helping Mirror out. As soon as he got slept to the backline, the Toronto Defiant knew they had to kill him ASAP. They did just that, but the problem was Gladiators were right at their heels, and they just chased them down and managed to kill 2 people off of just Mirror getting picked. So a perfect trade, and Gladiators had the prior spawns, like you mentioned. Defiant, last fight maybe here, 3 minutes and 50 seconds. They got EMP, they got Rally, they're ready to go.
Oh, and they're wasting no time. Yeah, now starting this engage with the EMP, finding Mirror though here. Yeah, and News is going to try to get in. He gets hit with an anti-2, and the Rally from Skewed, yeah, it looks like maybe he got shut down or something, because now the Rally isn't activated. Gladiators are trying to hold on. The duplicate from Mirror, it's going to be Onsunji answering that right back with Toronto Defiant trying to stay in this fight. They've lost Lastro. Aztec has the grab, but the rest of Gladiators now have found both of the supports for Defiant. They're utilizing this time in their favor. They're trying to take this point home. They want to get to match point here, Jaws, and so slowly but surely, the Defiant, they're trickling in and trickling out of this map.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way right now they actually managed to touch or contest. No, there we go. The Gladiators with 3 minutes and 9 seconds now to collect 33% of that first point, Vicky. And then match point is theirs. The Gladiators needed this win, Vicky, desperately. They are 1-1 right now, and they have 1 point. They need to find the dub here to stand a chance of going to the tournament. The Toronto Defiant, equally, they needed the win too to guarantee themselves it. So, you'd be feeling pretty down right now if you're the Defiant. You know that you have to hope for the draw, at best, to keep their spirits high and not put themselves on a match point. Still all to play for, though. We've seen crazier things happen, of course.
Yeah, thinking about it actually, I think the LA Gladiators are the only good team that haven't been able to make it to Hawaii. I think they keep getting stuffed out of the knockouts, so
yeah,
LA Gladiators, they have that talent, but they're just the only team, I think, the only good team I think is consistent that haven't been able to make it there.
They did make it out of the qualifiers once, but then they got beaten by the Dallas Fuel, so no real big surprise there. The Fuel are extremely good, one of the best teams in the world currently. So they want to make it twice around. They want to get some points on board. And speaking of that too, overall standings, they're currently 4, sitting at 7-3. So season-wise, they're not doing too bad whatsoever. They picked up a lot of fairly early wins. They've had an easier schedule too, beating Boston twice, Spitfire Titans team you'd expect the Gladiators to win over. But like you mentioned, Vicky, it's the middle of the pack teams that sometimes the Gladiators almost stumble over. But Toronto Defiant not proving that they are the block to trip them up today.
Instead, they're just trying to continue on within the series. They're doing a really good job, even with that limited time bank. They still got to deal with these high ground positions. I mean, someone's got to deal with both Space and Mirror. They were able to find both of the tanks from the Defiant, and now they're trying to funnel the rest of the team over to that room. They found both of the supports, and this is just a sad life here. Defiant, they were trying to work together and stay close up together, but because of that, the Gladiators just ripped them apart.
Oh, God-like nade from Shu at the very end. 3-man anti, goodbye Defiant. That's all said and done. How to win, 33% of your point with one ability. Shu proves it right there. The Gladiators now, Vicky, on match point against the Toronto Defiant. But they're feeling themselves. And now, question is really for Toronto, are they going to swap people up again? Is Michelle going to come back in? Is Aztec just going to continue playing this off-tank? I really want to know the reasons behind their change. They clearly thought Aztec maybe a little bit of a better fit with Sato, or these comps, or maybe the map. Wow, questions for the Toronto Defiant now. Will they be answered after this break? It's extremely tough to tell, Vicky.
I guess we'll find out when we go on to map number 3. Don't go anywhere, because the Gladiators are currently at match point.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. And you know what? The summer solstice is here, and we've loved getting to see some of your awesome artistic creations this season. So if you guys want, you guys should totally submit some of those arts to the Fan Art Gallery by Coca-Cola. And the art could definitely be summer-themed art, seeing that we are in the Summer Showdown, celebrating the Overwatch League and Coca-Cola for a chance to be featured. So make sure you guys go down to overwatchleague.com/art gallery and submit your favorite summer-themed art. So that way you guys could also be premiered and you guys could point at the screen and be like, look at me, that's me. Because I would definitely get hyped if my art was promoted like that, Jaws.
True. Well, you know, Matt's was on there, so the bar's low. Just let you know. So submit all your fan work, and we can finally push Carl away. Matt's been trying to push that for years at this point, I swear. He's finally made it onto broadcast. Let's have a look at the power rankings, though, with IBM Watson. This is Diva. And would you look at that? Space and Michelle, actually. 4th and 6th. Michelle on the bench currently, Vicky, because Aztec's taking the role of off-tank. So, big question still around the Toronto Defiant. What's happening here? Does it look like Aztec is staying in as well? So, they really do believe in this Aztec Zarya. There's no way he plays anything else. I think, unless it's something like a Sigma, but if they want to play a D.Va, they definitely sub Michelle back in. So we are going into Icon Valor next as well, so the same sort of looks from the Toronto Defiant and the Gladiators as well. They're not subbing anybody out, but that unbelievable record-breaking time on Anubis from the Gladiators, man, that is really going to leave you on cloud 9. It's going to be a tough upwards hill battle for the Toronto now. And I spoke about Gladiators' schedule earlier on also. I said that, you know, they beat Boston twice, Spitfire, Titans, like teams that you'd expect the Gladiators to win. And Toronto actually came into this series with a 5-map winning streak as well. Broken, of course, by the Gladiators a couple of maps ago. And they also had a slightly easier schedule too. They went against the Titans, the Mayhem as well, who haven't looked good at all recently. So the Defiant, they're definitely no slouches since they've added Aspire in, but we've just not seen the rest of the team, I feel like, just reach Aspire's level currently. Aspire's still looking very good. It's just the rest of the Defiant, they're kind of crumpling right now.
And you know, actually really interesting to point out, I was talking about Aspire and him being a Southern contender still at the moment, but somebody who Aspire has had the experience of playing against is Kevster, who of course is also coming from contenders, making his way into the Gladiators, and he was on Team Doge before too, so Defiant having Aspire and seeing Kevster on the Gladiators just brings me back, of course, to last year here, Jaws. And yeah, you talk about the speed run that we just saw from the Gladiators. They're definitely going to keep that up. And I feel like if the Defiant don't make some of these changes, with interesting enough with Aztec on the Zarya, then it may just spell doom for them. So as we get set up, though, Space already looking ahead to see what the Defiant are going to be coming in and saying, you know, nothing's changing here.
Nothing's changing. Still having the Zarya comp with the Monkey, the double bubble. Space still on the D.Va, so I said before, but I like Hisu actually on the Sombra. A very good hero for himself, and stopping the Gladiators being hyper aggressive as well, because Hisu can play a little bit more defensively with the Gladiators jump in, and then they can go for a hack on a tank, and then they can proceed to obviously burn him down. Oh, Kevster getting checked a little bit there by Aspire. I love Sato is not having a good time, Vicky. I will say that. He's jumping in, jumping out, jumping in, jumping out. He wants to generate a charge, obviously, for the Zarya, but look how defensively he's playing. No. And that's a nice little double kill from Mirror. Well, this keeps happening, Vicky, by the way, as well. Defiant end up pushing forwards, and Mirror just walks to the back line, rather leisurely stroll, maybe twirling his cane a little bit, and just blows up both supports instantly.
Did we not learn from the APAC where you just can't ignore the ones that fly from the sky? Like, this time it's the Echo. I mean, come on. Mirror has been able to get behind the Defiant time and time again, constantly. We saw it on Anubis, and now it just happened again. That was huge, too, because that bought a lot of time away from the Defiant.
Oh, Kevster. Oh, dicing with death there a little bit. 23 HP. Forced to recall. Can get out in time, though. When you recall, you ideally want to have a couple of blinks left in order to actually dash away from the fight, or dash even further in if you're super aggro. Spire's got Pulse Bomb, though. This has been the key to success for the Toronto Defiant, and Mirror already dies. Now Aspire on the back line.
And Aspire, the Pulse Bomb gets eaten by Space. That was great reaction from Space. Knew exactly what Aspire wanted the moment he blinked in. Meanwhile, Kester's taking a nap, and he gets deleted out of this fight. The Defiant finally trying to have that opportunity. Anti onto Lastro, but no follow-up here from Aspire, not trying to overextend, or rather, Aspire not trying to overextend himself against the Gladiator, seeing that Shu now is anti. Skewed has the rally. Muse is taking a nap. He already activated the Primal, so that's going to waste some time away from that. He gets it hacked again. He really can't have any fun. We talk about Sato. Now it's Sato's turn to go to sleep. The D.Va Bomb is going to be able to go into that side room. Sato gets melted, and Mirror once again coming in from the skies with a focusing beam, this time finding Aztec. That's both tanks down for the Defiant, and they're going to have to forcefully go for a reset here, Jaws, with a minute and less than 30 seconds already.
I think I've changed my mind, actually. Hisu, please play Kree. Just play Kree. you gotta shoot Mirror. Like, Mirror's in the backline. Hisu used his Translocator to link up with Aspire to try and kill Mirror. Mirror just slid off of the roof, was able to stay alive, got healing from his support, and then once again was in the backline with the sticky bombs, the focusing beam to chunk people out. Once more, Sado is jumping away from the fight. He knows he has to try and get away from this copy. A nice Graviton Surge to start the fight off, though.
Oh, the way that Aztec actually got out of that situation, too. He was able to retreat to that room. They found Kevster out of that grab. Ansum J gets hit with an anti. Shu's been pretty consistent with this. Well, Mirror had that duplicate, gets reset out of it, and there's still this fight. They have to look for Aspire, though. He tries to get the sticky with the Pulse Bomb. Uncharacteristic as he does it, landed onto Skewed. And now with Laster going down, that's a Nano Boost that won't be in this fight for the Toronto Defiant. Seeming a little weird here with the Defiant. They're playing pretty spread out, but it's because the Gladiators just aren't really giving them the ability to focus down on one person here. Muse and Space have each individually found one from Defiant, and now Defiant have less than 30 seconds to completely take that first point.
Yeah, and this could be the match win here as well, Vicky. The Gladiators, if they find a good offense, they're just going to be able to roll over the Defiant. Hisu really hasn't done much. I said I like the Sombra because they can play a little bit more defensively, hack one of the tanks, take them down. But the problem is, Mirror is just doing too much work. He's out DPSing Hisu. His value is just immense, and you can see Hisu right now looking for a hack in the backline, but he's not going to be able to find it. At least he touches the point for OT, though.
And they have to stay on this point. The overtime is taking away. Okay. Oh, they do. All right, they do. Ansum J also has the rally too. Trying to get that armor up for the rest of Defiant. Lastro has a Nano Boost here. Sato is already activating the Primal. They're finding these picks. They found Muse first. That's huge here. But look at the Gladiators and these ultimates. Oh, Kevster having to force that recall as he was about to fall off the map. The grab now trying to be the nail in the coffin. If Aztec could find Mirror, he does. That's been the biggest threat onto the Defiant's backline. But now they have to deal with Kevster, who's been just as much as a threat. There's nobody left here, Jaws. The Defiant can't get onto this point. The Gladiators are just playing so well right now. They are playing split up, and they're forcing Defiant to make a decision when they're just too split up on who they should focus down.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. They're not granting the Toronto Defiant the space at all. And I think a lot of that is just on Mirror, just forcing the Toronto Defiant to look 17 different directions. I mean, the Defiant are just having such a tough time. And on top of that as well, the Gladiators actually... you could make a reference to the old Gladiators too, with Big Goose and Shaz, a very, very dependable backline. You could always depend on the backline of the Gladiators. And that's almost transitioned. Two completely different players, of course, in Shu and Skewed, but the same kind of thing. They are so dependable. They do not fall down, ever. Skewed is on top of Shu constantly, making sure he stays alive and just stopping the Defiant from jumping in and forcing the cooldowns of the Ana and then killing him off. The Gladiators just all around right now just look superb. Dependable backline, Mirror's making them look everywhere, and then Kevster does what Kevster does best in killing people.
Yeah, well,
and not to mention Space, by the way. Eating ults. Self-destructs. Like, this is the Gladiators you wanted to see. Like, this is the 7-3 Gladiators, the 4th place Gladiators, Vicky. Toronto Defiant now have to defend against about 86%. Oh, that would have been a disgusting shot if he did manage to hit that on Hisu, but Hisu's a little bit more wise to challenge the Kevster winner.
And now we're making the swap too over to the Tracer. I was going to say earlier though that the way that Gladiators are playing right now, this is what I was anticipating. Although the Defiant, they finally have been able to get some momentum in the league, it's just the Gladiators are just one of those teams where they're contending here for top 4, honestly. They are the top 4 best teams right now in the league. Currently see Space already getting into position, trying to isolate Aztec, who's already been antied. You can already see how he's going to hold forward, get the follow from Muse. Space is taking so much damage, though. He got a little overzealous at the same time, Jaws, and now they're trying to trickle into this room. Everyone's so low, but take a look at the Defiant. There's nobody left. It's just Aspire, and he's not going to be able to live long enough for the rest of the Gladiators to finally get this payload. They don't even need to get it moving because the Toronto Defiant couldn't even get it out of the garage.
Yeah, LA Gladiators find the dub 3-0. And Vicky, they keep themselves in contention as well for the Summer Showdown. They entered today 1-1. It looked a little bit grim. The Toronto Defiant needed the win to secure their position in the Summer Showdown. The Gladiators, they are still here, Vicky. They are still in it to win it. It's going to be it's going to be an upwards hill battle for sure. But their chances of making it once again to a tournament is looking pretty good.
And hopefully they could actually do it this time, especially seeing that, you know, my pick'ems for the first time right now after APAC are looking great, Jaws. We were talking about what we were expecting going into this series, and I was expecting the Gladiators to honestly figure out a game plan because they weren't looking so hot overall in the Summer Showdown, at least at the start of it, and now they're looking a lot better. LA Gladiators taking it over the Toronto Defiant, and that stops the opportunity for the Defiant to have won that series and immediately qualified for the knockout rounds.
Yeah, it absolutely did. The Gladiators just performing out of their minds. A team that I thought has done well against teams that you'd expect them to beat, but now beating out a middle-of-the-pack team, this is their chance to really step up into the upper echelon of teams like Outlaws, of the Dallas Fuel. They have a very good chance of meeting those teams in the Summer Showdown now if they continue this momentum over the next week or so.
Yep, and with the Gladiators taking that win, we have our player of the match, and it's going to be Space, presented by Xfinity. Space obviously being such a good player overall. We talk about how he was really threatening, and yeah, the self-destruct in that side room, look at that. Like, and the fact that he tried to pin it away too, like, that was actually, what?
I didn't even pick that up. Sato actually oh my, that kill is a highlight reel and a half. Sato pinned the bomb away from the rest of his team, or he thought he pinned the bomb the rest of his team, but the rest of his team were outside. Oh my word, you'd be kicking yourself a little bit there. And the eat on the pulse bomb as well to make sure his backline stays alive. One of the most consistent off-tank players. There's no better person really to give it to than Space. You're looking at the backline being consistent, your tanks consistently doing well as well. I mean, yeah, fantastic. No better player really to give it to.
Yeah, when this season looking at Space, he's just been able to really work good with the Gladiators. I feel like overall this team seems to have found that foundation for themselves, and they're only getting better and better as the season progresses. Of course, there's not a lot of time left, but you can take a look at Space's stats here. Just the amount of damage that he was able to put out, those final blows too, and just being able to reposition and put in a lot of pressure next to Mirror, who didn't really look like the Defiant were dealing with well. He just kept pressuring their backlines, and they were just letting him get away with it. Well, Space was like, well, I guess like I could help out with that too. So you meanwhile have the not LA Gladiators, but the Defiant looking in every single direction, and unfortunately, they just couldn't do anything about isolating some of those threats of the Gladiators, and that's really what Space helped enable.
Yeah, Space doing a fantastic job knowing damage, protecting the rest of his team, the perfect thing you want from your D.Va player, right? And linking up with Muse as well for these dives. D.Va's a bit of an interesting one too, because you have to play sort of aggressive with your Winston, but then have to make sure your backline is protected. Doesn't matter how dependable, you know, your Ana and your Brig are. A Pulse Bomb is a threat at the end of the day. The dive characters are a threat if you can kind of force the Brig out the way, if the Brig is antied, for example. I mean, yeah, fantastic hair and fantastic D.Va play. The Gladiators looking real good, Vicky. Really good, a 3-0. And it's funny because we spoke about it a little bit before the series started. I was like, I think it's going to be pretty close, you know? I really have a lot of stock in Aspire right now, and I think everybody still should do. He still performed extremely well. I was like, yeah, I think maybe a 3-2, maybe a 3-1, you know? Maybe. Didn't expect 3-0, and a record-breaking finish on Anubis as well. Didn't expect that at all. So, Gladiators fans really rejoicing today.
Yeah, let's talk about those Pulse Bomb picks, though, that we saw from Aspire. So consistent with that. Yeah, despite that, though, the Gladiators now making, not only staying with their name up on those top part of the leaderboards, looking at North America, but we talk about those top-level teams, Jaws. We talk about Houston. We talk about Dallas. Well, guess what? They're going to be the next series that we're going to have coming up at the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere, you guys. It's some more Overwatch League here for the Summer Showdown presented by Xfinity. We'll see you soon.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Cheez It Grooves. We're joined now by Mirror from Los Angeles Gladiators. And Mirror told me that this is his first ever interview in the Overwatch League. So I'm very honored to be conducting this interview for you. And big congratulations on the win today.
Thank you, Danny.
How are you feeling? Are you happy? Are you excited?
Happy, hungry, and excited.
Hungry? you guys haven't had lunch yet? Okay. All right. Well, I mean, let's.
Yeah.
You guys did, and you're still hungry.
Yeah, we did.
Well, you could get more food after the interview.
Yeah, agree.
Yes, eat more. Eat more. You guys, you deserve it. Eat whatever you want. Ask the Gladiators team to buy you food. All right. So let's jump right into the question. First one is, I actually found out that your Gladiators' last match was on June 27th, which is a little less than 2 weeks. I think it was 12 days ago. What were some of the improvements or changes that you guys made during those 12-day break?
Usually, we just focus on ourselves and try to improve together as a team, and just work together. Even if it's like bad position, we'll just do it together.
Can you give?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, were there some like examples that you could give us? Like, what were some of the things that you guys focused on? I know you just said that you were focusing on to like, better yourself to improve your gameplay and your teamwork. What are some of the stuff that you guys worked on?
We just work on better coordination and better planning structure. Just how to adapt and play together as a team. That's it.
Okay. Oh wow, nice. Thank you. All right. My second question for you, Mirror, is your next match is against the Washington Justice. I don't know if you watched the game, but we all saw it. It was the match before you guys. And according to the Washington Justice players, they are sort of trying to master as many different types of compositions as possible for the Summer Showdown. Knowing that, does this make prepping for your match against the Washington Justice easier or harder?
I think it would be harder, considering like they can throw at us many weak comp, and they're all good players. They'll make it work. But I believe as long as we play like ourselves today, or every single time we practice, I think it'll be a good game.
Okay, right. I just want to quickly just get your opinion on this. Do you believe it's better to sort of try like using a lot of different comps? Or is it better to sort of focus on one comp and just excel at that? It's just your personal opinion. I'm just very curious.
In my personal opinion, both can work. It just depends on how the team style. It's like if you look at Dallas, they just made everyone go play Lucio Mora and just die in the June Joust and Melee. So yeah. I think either can work.
So either can work. So it really just boils down to the team,
to the player, to the coach, and yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Mirror, that's it for the interview. Thank you so much for your time, and again, big congratulations on the win today. Thank you. All right. Let's get back to the desk.
Have a nice day. Take care.
You too.
Thanks a lot, Danny. Thank you so much, Mirror. Congratulations to the Gladiators. Feed the boy. He earned it.
He's hungry.
Yeah, no, great to get some insights. He's hungry for more W's, that's what I'm hearing. And they might be getting those. I'm very excited to see what they have in store for us in their match tomorrow. Because looking at this one, Gladiators, they just kind of ran away with it. No, like they literally sprinted away with it if we're looking at that Anubis attack here reinforced.
Oh yeah, I mean this was so fast. It was so rapid, very quick match. I think we expected a bit of a closer one, but even started out on a Lee Jang Tower, Mirror and Spire came out on a Doomfist. And this was actually really entertaining. Mirror's Doomfist is so much fun to watch. Okay, I'm not usually a Doomfist apologist, but really, this Lee Jang Tower was really entertaining. This was a fantastic TP executed by the Gladiators. We just see Muse just go in, land the Shatter, get past the opposing Reinhardt Shield. Great play, and Space follows it up with a Diva Bomb as well. Ridiculous pace to this matchup. So I do want to give Aspire some credit, because I didn't find his Doomfist entertaining, but the Gladiators, they were just on top of it. And as we went over to Temple of Anubis as well, I mean, the fastest Overwatch League Temple of Anubis attack in history. That's phenomenal. I think the entire attack run was like 1 minute 26 or 27 seconds.
Wow.
That's ridiculous to get both points, quite honestly. And they were just really excelling playing their own game. Now, yes, the Toronto Defiant, they did get 4 points themselves on top of Anubis. Aztec was playing the Zarya for the Toronto Defiant, and they tried to make this Tracer Sombra composition work. Aspire couldn't get into the groove here on Eichenwalde. Kevster was having the upper hand in this one, and the Gladiators ended up winning 3-0 after a pretty dominant performance on all three maps, really.
I do want to jump in for this as well, because you saw both sides of the coin of putting a player who doesn't play this role onto something different. We saw Aztec come in to play the Zarya in the off-tank role. It worked pretty well in Anubis when they were on their attacks. You could see him getting good grabs, you could see him getting good bubbles. He was doing his job and he was doing it well. But then they go over to Eichenwalde, and all of a sudden there's an echo that exists in the game. He's stuck on Zarya, can't really switch to D.Va very effectively. It sort of made their playstyle very pigeonholed, and that cost them a lot. So, interesting look from the Toronto Defiant putting Aztec into that off-tank. I don't know if I'm sold on it just yet, but it definitely has some upsides.
Absolutely. Now it is a time to shift gears. We're going into full Yahoo mode, which
Yahoo!
no one in Texas says. However, I want them to say it, just ever since Reinforce introduced that to us here on the desk. It is time for our favorite artificial rivalry, which we just kind of love hyping up, and that is, of course, Dallas versus Houston. Now, up until yesterday, I think all of us were feeling pretty good about the Houston Outlaws' chances going up against Dallas Fuel, even though Dallas is an absolute, force to be reckoned with and has been all season long. But Houston Outlaws' recent performances gave not just the Houston Outlaw fans hopes, it made us really wonder who to pick. However, then yesterday happened. And that match, for everyone who maybe you want to refresh our memory, Costa. Where did the Houston Outlaws lose us, or our faith, rather?
Well, so the Houston Outlaws, one of the reasons we've been giving them such high praise is they've adopted this double shield, slow style of playing the game that really seemed to do a great job of shutting down the Winston dive, stopping these Reinhardt Symmetra TPs because you could just mirror it and play a slow style. No one had really beaten it, no one really counted it, that's where we thought the meta was going. And then Boston Uprising just came out of nowhere, and Valentine picks up the Genji and just absolutely sliced and diced the Houston Outlaws and their hopes and dreams of one-tricking this composition throughout the Summer Showdown. So now, the reason a lot of us are very hesitant about the Outlaws right now is, how do they adapt? Obviously, we've praised Houston a lot for their ability to adapt in the games, but we didn't see that from them yesterday. And now they're going up against the Dallas Fuel, who have a pretty good Genji, I would say, in Sparkle. If they play Genji Sombra, they can definitely just mirror what Boston did. So is Dallas going to try and sort of mirror what Boston did and play this Genji Winston style that they know works against Houston style? And if so, how is Houston going to adapt to that? So there's so many storylines outside of all the history that they have for them, just in the meta of the game. And I'm really excited to see what comes out on these next few maps, because it's honestly a coin flip at this point. I have no idea who's going to win this series.
Yeah, and one of the most important things, or rather storylines, heading into this match made it into our crunch time presented by Cheesy Grooves, and that is, of course, the need to crunch. We need to see, and I repeat, need to see the crispiest of performances from either of those teams, because it's a win and in scenario. They could both secure their spot in our Summer Showdown knockout rounds on Sunday with a victory over the other team. So they got to give it their all.
Absolutely, you can see both teams tied at 6 currently. Dallas 2-0. They have a match against the Toronto Defiant tomorrow, which, given performances, I'd expect them to win. Houston Outlaws, though, this is all or nothing for them. If they want to make it into the knockouts on Sunday, I think they need to avoid a 3-0. Need to get this win, most likely, because otherwise they fall below the shock. The Dallas Fuel fans, they're out in force here, attending their first watch party, as you call it, Zoe. For the first time in a very long time. Of course, it's been a long time without an audience because of COVID, etc. But now, finally, a live event. We've been in Dallas before for the Dallas Fuel homestand, and that was an amazing experience. I'm so happy to see the Fuel fans back in the crowd there supporting their team. back on stage as well. I'm just seeing a stage now, and I'm just like, what? The Dallas Fuel on stage? Like, what is going on? I haven't seen this in like 18 months. I've missed it so much too. You know, next time I hope I can be out there in the stadiums with the fans themselves to watch the games, because it's so much fun. Like experiencing live Overwatch with an audience, it's so thrilling. So I'm a bit jealous of the Dallas Fuel fans because they get some live Overwatch. I'm really excited that the fans are back.
Yeah, also not to rub it in, but to show sympathy, Costa, second year in a row as a talent, never actually worked at a live event. That hurts me.
John, please, I just want to do it in front of people and not my cats that just freak out in the middle of the
quotable, everyone. And on that note, guys, I'm very hyped for this match. It is about to go down, but of course we need to figure out who will clinch the spot for the Summer Showdown knockouts. Will it be Dallas Fuel pulling off the victory in front of their home crowd? We will find out after a very quick break. But first, for those of you who might need a refresher on the history of those two teams clashing in their rivalry, we've got you covered.
London Spitfire have done it! A golden state! A golden crown! Overwatch League champion! It is the moment that you have been waiting for! Houston Outlaws going up against the Dallas Fuel, the Battle of Texas.
We had a sold-out crowd both days, and that environment, all I can say is that it was just pure energy.
There were 3 showdowns in the inaugural season, and Houston won all of them. It was one of the rivalries that the Overwatch League pushed that actually worked because fans bought into it. It did get us the homestand.
Dallas Houston is one of those things that just was hype from the get-go.
It was the culmination in a lot of ways of years of build-up between our two teams.
This is the battle for the Owl Corral right here, and we'll see who flies their flag over Texas tonight.
When you saw the Outlaws fans and the Dallas Fuel fans in person filling up an entire arena and cheering the way they did and the energy that they had, we were able to identify how big this rivalry could really be.
They were there to see us, and we were there to put on a show.
Dallas Fuel, they take it home!
The moment when we did beat the Houston Outlaws and the fans were chanting OG's name, OG just started shedding tears of joy.
시즌을 치르고 있는 동안에 팀원들한테 엄청 조금 더 나은 팀메이트가 될 수 있었는데 이제 그걸 뭐 좀 못했는데도 이제 제가 다운돼 있을 때 격려해주고 해서 그때 이제 잘 이겨내고 해서 경기를 이겨가지고 좀 감정이 좀 그렇게 약간 울컥한 것도 있고, 그런 이게 엄청 많은 사람들이 제가 경기를 하는 걸 응원해주고 이제 이름도 불러주고 그런 경험 자체를 한다는 거를 생각지도 못했고, 이제 그런 경험을 제가 했다는 거에 대해서 엄청 고맙고 해서 이제 좀 울컥해진 것 같아요.
The battle for Texas, they win it for the first time. The Fuel able to take it here in front of the home crowd.
Battle for Texas continuing to live up to its reputation.
This historically has been a matchup that's really gone back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, watch me now.
Cap looking for the Deadeye. Oh, it's two. Patience pays off, Doa. The Outlaws on the high ground. Dante gets fielded. That's huge. Dante has made his mark known. Everything going the way of the Outlaws this time, Doa.
It's time to settle the score.
Sparkle will not be denied. Already gets happy.
Right.
Throw another one. Sparkle with 3.
The deadliest Smash brother is Sparkle. How about another self-destruct?
Why not?
You get a
Send more
self-destruct.
bombs.
You get a self-destruct.
Let me show you what it's all
It explodes them.
Yeah, watch me now.
Beautiful play.
You love to see it. What a graffiti flux.
Houston Outlaws going up against the Dallas Fuel. We are coming back for the Battle of Texas.
It's finally time. Welcome back, everyone. We are seeing Dallas live at the Esports Arena in Arlington. The Fuel fans are going wild because we're only moments away from another epic battle for Texas, where our next series is taking us into a Western standing.
Yeah, unbelievable that we can finally see the crowds once again. Got their thunder sticks going on, the signs, the flags, everything. The Dallas Fuel fans must be super happy as well, Vicky, because their team is rocking it right now this year. Of course, we've got a walkout coming up in a moment as well. This battle for Texas, it goes down in history. And you saw the history video at the very start of that. And currently, Dallas Fuel, over the last 7 games, Vicky, they've won 6 of them. 6! Like, that's an incredible number. The Outlaws are going to have to pull out something rather special, but they've also had a turnaround year as well. The Outlaws, brand new look almost. They got Jake back as well from pinched him from the casting roster, and they also look exceptional. Their double shield game has just been on point this season.
I'm not expecting that to change too, Jaws. And taking a look at the Houston and Houston Outlaws and looking at their location in comparison to Dallas, I think it's like a 3.5 hour away by car. So, they're not too far. And the Outlaws are going to be the first players we're going to see. Despite Dallas having this live event, Houston Outlaws, I believe, are having their own personal watch party. So maybe we'll get some footage of that for you guys soon so we can all be in tune to both parties at once. Why not be somewhere at the same time? All at once when it comes to the Dallas Fuel and this homestand, and of course the Houston Outlaws with their watch parties. Taking a look at the starting roster right now, Jaws, we got Dante, we got Happy, Django, Piggy, Crimzo, and Juby. This is a team that I would say are the best team to contest with Dallas, but this is also a team that constantly finds Dallas as this wall that they just can't break through.
Yeah, they are 9-2 currently this year, Vicky. Piggy, Junggu, they have been a crazy tank line together. Piggy, Sigma, unreal. Some of the best stats in the league currently. The double shield is exceptional for them. Happy, a superstar. Widowmaker, like hit scan play, and then of course Dante. Like, what more do you really need to say about Dante? The guy is an absolute nutcase, and any hero he picks up. And their backline is looking rather solid as well. Juby, a little bit of a newer face, of course, but he's alongside Crimzo, a veteran player to the Overwatch League at this point, and Juby slotted in rather nicely. They definitely had a bit of I wouldn't say teething issues, but it was a little bit slow to start off with Juby. We had Jake come in some of the times for the Jake Mercy, but Juby, permanent fixture in the roster it seems like now alongside Crimzo, and they are looking stellar.
And why don't we take a look at the Dallas Fuel as we are here live in Arlington. Well, you're not here, but they are. So why don't we take a look at their roster, having them move in. And they have to make an appearance here, Jones. They have to, because this is a team that is considered the best in the league right now. This is a team that has consistently made it out of the knockouts, make it through, win the first melee, win the first stage rather. And in that second stage, they finally had another team that they had to deal with, the Shanghai Dragons. But, taking a look at everybody saying hi, being able to rep their favorite players, that is what I'm here for, Josh. That is what I'm living for. I haven't been able to experience this myself just yet, but it's just a matter of time. We are slowly inching our way to having more homestands out there.
Feels like Dallas Fuel are one of the most animated rosters as well on the cams. Of course, we know Sparkle for going crazy, but Fearless too. There's that really nice screenshot of him just screaming in rage, it looks like, when he dies on the Winston. And being in front of the home crowd is going to suit them proper. Like, Sparkle's history as a player is just exceptional. Formerly of Element Mystic, of course. The guy's been playing on stages ever since he started his career, basically. Fearless alongside him as well. A transformed player from Shanghai Dragons, losing every single one of their games back in Season 1 to where he is now, the best main tank we currently have in the league. An unbelievable performance. I think he's captured so many people's hearts as well. A true underdog rising to what he is now.
Yeah, looking at all these players here coming out from the field. You talk about the best main tank. We also had Hanbin that just came up on the stage. The best off tank that we currently have. I can say it confidently here. You know, now look at that coming out with the Orion Hammer. You love to see it. And that's something else about these homestands is, you know, aside from seeing the players getting that experience, you know, burning blue and all that stuff, you also have a lot of these players that have these favorite props of theirs that belong to their respective characters. Look at that. You got to get the hammer down, and the rest of the Dallas, they're out. I love this energy, and this is also a great way for the Dallas Fuel to have some fun before they get into some serious business in this series versus the Outlaws.
Yeah, Phil is definitely hoping that's the rest of the Outlaws going down in his shadows. The Dallas Fuel have shown a few different flavors as well of what they want to run, but their dive is immaculate. They want to play things like Genji. There was questions, there was worries for the Dallas Fuel. They didn't have a hit scan player. And Doha and Sparkle have just kind of proven that they don't really need to play hit scans some of the time when it almost seems mandatory for a lot of the teams. We saw them with different flavors of Sim a couple of months ago, and they just blew everybody out of the water. At the helm, of course, Fearless just diving in on the Monkey, being super aggressive on Reinhardt as well. The Dallas Fuel, there's something to contend with. And not only that, Vicky, but whoever wins right now in this series is going through to the Summer Showdown as well. A lot on the line. Two extremely different styles of play. We've got the double shield on one side, and we have this dive, super aggro aggression from the Dallas Fuel. And I think a lot of it's actually going to come down to the maps too. This map factor is going to be unbelievable. Like Oasis, Hanamura, Hollywood, Gibraltar, Nepal, if we really need to get there. The Dallas Fuel, if they do end up slipping a map early on, they can almost bank on Gibraltar being one of their maps. Dive super prominent on that map. Hollywood 2 at points as well. This match is going to be crazy. Can the Outlaws actually bounce back? They are 1 out of 7 games in the last 7 they played against the Dallas Fuel. They want to make that 2 of 8, Vicky. They want to start grabbing back those wins.
When I take a look at both these teams, Jaws, it was so difficult for me to make a decision on who I'm expecting to come out of the series. Only because I settled for Dallas Fuel only because they're so consistent in comparison to the Outlaws, the team that has just been struggling so far whenever it comes to the Dallas Fuel. They're just like this wall when it comes to this team. So now making some adjustments, looking at a lot of the compositions that we witnessed from these teams, you mentioned being aggro, right? We talk about these sim TP plays that we've seen from the Fuel, trying to get creative with these angles, trying to make sure that they catch their opponents off guard. But can that work against a team like the Outlaws that love running that double shield? Of course, it does trickle down to how long these team fights last, considering the fact that we have Sparkle, who's been able to pop off on that sim. And we know, we talked about it before in our last series, the longer that sim is out in that fight, the deadlier she becomes, and the harder it is to close out that fight. If you don't deal with that sim, that's going to be a lot of damage coming in.
Yeah, it looks like dive for both teams as well in City Center. Not too much of a surprise. Of course, the high ground aiding the Winston and Diva getting up there ASAP. One slight difference, though. It's going to be the Echo versus the Sombra. This is going to be a little bit more Echo versus Reaper. A little bit more difficult to deal with the Echo, of course, as Juby has got the pocket. If the Dallas Fuel can rotate around them and just try and isolate one of the tanks, they should be good. A hack is ideal on the Diva or the Winston to stop them from running rampant in the backline. Point does unlock now, as both teams still contesting.
And you see here, too, with Piggy actually trying to wait things out here, trying to give some backup to Jago. The Dallas Fuel are going to take the point first. I like the way the Outlaws are playing. Not too overly aggressive. They actually just wanted to disengage real quick, wait for the rest of the Outlaws before re-engaging right now. It's Sparkle who finds the first pick onto Happy. I already hear the crowd going crazy for Sparkle, a player who's popped off in this entire season. I can't hear the crowd, but I know that is what's going on right now. I can only imagine the energy seeping through the audience for the Dallas Fuel.
Oh, such a nice pick. Happy going down early. Means Doha's going to get a lot more charge on the exit kills. And now he's got the EMP. They've got Coalescence. Dallas Fuel want to go quick. They want to go fast. Juby has switched over to the Brig now as well, so they know 0 ult charge on that character. Dante, maybe he gets copy for this fight, but it looks like Dallas Fuel, they want to go early.
Ooh, and with the EMP already, it does hit both support lines. Juby gets away in time, and the fact that the Dallas Fuel couldn't really get too much off of that EMP doesn't matter because Sparkle's actually right behind them. They gotta look to their backs. The support lines are in trouble. Sparkle being able to find that pick and get enabled with the rest of the team. Dallas Fuel just following up beautifully. And look how far they've been able to push up on Outlaws too. They're already ahead in terms of percent, 60% for the Dallas Fuel on this point.
You mentioned at the very start, Vicky, a lot of these fights are going to be prolonged. It's hard to get people down when you got Moira and Lucio just pumping you full of heals. And we're at 70%. This could be last fight. Humping needs his mech back, ideally. He should be able to get a couple of nice little hits. Or like, maybe not, actually, because a lot of that's actually getting matrixed. A lot of ults for Outlaws now. They're going to go for this engagement fairly quickly. EMP.
Oh, the EMP finds Sparkle and Fearless right here, but the sound barrier was out of that range, so we actually were able to see that coming through from the Dallas Fuel. Henbin also has that Diva Bomb, but Sparkle gets eliminated with the focus. He had a plan, but the Death Blossom just couldn't land on its mark, and now another EMP getting built up so quickly by Doha. Finds 2 here, and the Dallas Fuel are going to be able to turn this situation around. The Outlaws looked like they had their footing here on this point, but the Fuel unfortunately just sandwiched them and prevented the Outlaws from really getting much out of those ultimates that they were able to push out with.
They do get touched. Self-destruct comes in, doesn't find anybody, and Juby's already dead.
Yeah, that's the uppercut. Sparkle just being an absolute threat. Look at that. He's still diving through. Gets a punch onto Piggy. The Outlaws couldn't even flip the point once within this first round.
All right, round number 1 goes to the Fuel. Oh my word. Outlaws didn't really have a say in that whatsoever. They came out with a different composition completely, but the Dallas Fuel had every single answer. The EMP from Happy, which took so long to build up, was negated by Jexay's sound barrier. He hit most of the members of the Fuel, stayed out of the EMP's range, so he didn't get hacked out of it, and then they just ran forward and destroyed the Outlaws. Now, it's going to be a completely different look, Vicky. The Outlaws, they're going to go back to what they prefer. They prefer this double shield. They don't well, maybe they like playing the dive, but against the Fuel, if you're going mano a mano, dive versus dive, the Fuel are going to win out more often than not.
You have to look at the consistency in these teamfight wins when it comes to the Dallas Fuel, and also just their positioning just being so much better than the Outlaws. You talk about the double shield, and they're coming out with it. We got Jungwoo back on the Orisa that we're so used to seeing. Piggy's already dead, by the way. Hammond getting into position. Thanks to Jexy right there, too, being able to put him in, and Doha finding 2. The Outlaws are not having a good time to the start for this second round, Jaws. Currently, the Dallas Fuel are just running away with murder.
Man, we talked about the TP and the Mei, the Sim-Mei combo. Mei's weakness, I say that very lightly because Mei doesn't have that many weaknesses, but it is her mobility. She is just a character that walks along, just kind of chills, right? But when you add her with a teleporter, diving to the backline, TPing Mei into a position where she can wall off of a tank, or to be fair, even in this map, you don't really need to do that because the corridors are so thin, it's perfect. Wall off Piggy, and you're going to find success. They're going to try to do it again, but this time Fearless is in trouble.
The wall. You have to try to get through this, and Dante actually walling them off, but here comes the Blizzard. Doha now, but talking about the Dallas Fuel popping off after that Blizzard. The Outlaws had nowhere to go here. Sparkle popping off again. It's just a team wipe again from the Fuel. This is almost looking identical to what we had last seen when these 2 teams had faced off in the battle for Texas. It's not the Western standoff that I was expecting this time around for the Houston Outlaws.
It's so hard for the Houston Outlaws to disengage from these Blizzards, Vicky. They don't have speed boost. The only thing they can do is TP. Speaking of TP, though, Fearless is in the back line.
Just in case the wall almost blocked it. I'm not too sure, but here goes Sparkle now, finding Dante. Here comes a Shatter. Does get that pin onto Piggy. One of the best Sigma. He gets annihilated here, but the isolated Piggy and Happy's gone down, and the rest of Dallas Fuel are still holding on to this point. Chengdu finding 3 is going to allow the rest of the Outlaws to move in and finally find themselves on the point for the first time in the first map, at least. Jaguar's still going in, by the way. He hasn't been stopped, and he didn't even need to use the supercharger, so they're going to be able to hold on to that and the Ant Matrix and Blizzard for the next engagement we're going to see from the Fuel.
I think Jungwoo got 4 kills, 5 kills maybe? No,
Like
his
5.
name was
It was
in the
like
kill
5.
feed quite a lot there. My word. That was a perfect wall from Dante. He realized that Fearless was behind, just walled him off, and then they just walked towards the rest of the team. It doesn't matter if Fearless has speed boost. He didn't at that point because Jexir was trying to help appeal for the rest of his team. He's not going to be able to catch up to the Outlaws just steamrolling over you. Dante won that fight for them hands down with that wall. Now, TP for Dallas Fuel. They're behind again.
Oh, talk about creative angles with these TPs. They had a plan, but now Sparkle's going to get a lot of damage with that beam. But talk about the Gravitic Flux. Piggy always so consistent on getting most of that damage done from the Gravitic Flux. They do clean up from around the fuel, and now the Outlaws could finally get a little comfortable here. They didn't use everything, Jaws. They had the Supercharger, they used that, but they still have the Blizzard and the Photon Barrier coming up.
Yeah, they can definitely breathe a sigh of relief. Dante has the Blizzard, the best tool the Fuel can use right now to negate that, really. Well, it would be perfect if Hanbin ate it, but that wall from Sparkle. The Photon Barrier, if it comes out, maybe blocks off the LOS, or they could just do this. They could just jump on top of them. Hey, that'll do.
Oh, they can touches too. They just jump on top of them. Find Juby and Piggy. Here comes a Photon Barrier next. Sparkle gets deleted by Crimzo, but it doesn't matter. The rest of the Fuel, they have not only the number advantage, but they have the point advantage once they're done cleaning up Crimzo. The Fuel are looking pretty strong, being able to retake that pretty quickly, considering the Outlaws, they had won those last 2 fights.
Yeah, Outlaws basically used everything as well, Vicky. They're in the danger zone, 10% to go, and the Fuel will take this first map in the battle for Texas. Fearless has got a shadow to his name. Outlaws have to touch as well. They have arrived on the point, and Django switched over to the ball to get that touch.
Oh, here it goes, sending everybody up. He wanted to go in for the follow-up here too. Fearless gets the shatter, and the Immortality Field's already been called up. Fielder has the Amp Matrix, but you saw Dante placing that wall immediately as it was called in, and because of that, though, you also have certain members of the Outlaws isolated. Juby goes down, Fielder is still in the back, he's still in contest, and look at the positioning from all of these players. The Outlaws, they were spread thin, and the Dallas Fuel take map number 1, the Battle of Texas.
Map number 1 in front of their home crowd as well. They are just going crazy, and of course they are. Tank diff sign. Oh man, I mean, those teleports from Sparkle, perfectly positioned. It didn't feel like the supports that the Outlaws could deal with this aggression, and not too much of a surprise. The Fuel, they know how much they can give, they know how much they can take. Fearless just be in the back, swinging his hammer, and Sparkle and Doha just blizzard after wall. It's just too much for the Outlaws to currently deal with. Emotions are definitely high in that stadium for sure, but it's all positive right now. The Fuel take the first map, control 2-0. We're going to jump to a quick break, guys. Do not go anywhere. We've got map number 2 coming up soon.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile.